In the vast galaxy, filled with powerful empires and proud species, humanity was still new. Only 20 years had passed since Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council. While most new species came with loud voices, demands, and eagerness to prove themselves, humans were different. They came quietly. They listened, they watched, and because of that, most alien species didn't respect them. The Galactic Council was made of over 100 advanced civilizations. Each had fought wars, built mighty fleets, and shaped the politics of the galaxy. When Earth joined, the Council allowed them a seat, but only as observers. They didn't give humans real power. They didn't even give them time to speak in most meetings. Some members joked about humans in private. They are too soft. One ambassador from the Joral species laughed. They smile too much. Another said, maybe they don't understand. War yet, too peaceful, too patient, no spine, said General Kern of the Drenex Empire. But humans never replied to insults. Their diplomats smiled and kept quiet. Their soldiers stayed on their ships and followed every rule. Their scientists shared small things, but never too much. Their fleets never entered disputed space. Too many in the galaxy. It looked like humans were weak. Only a few noticed something strange. Tom was Earth's youngest envoy. He attended every meeting of the council. He sat in the back, taking notes and watching quietly. Other envoys ignored him or sometimes mocked him when he left the room. But Tom never reacted. His expression stayed calm. One day, during a council session, a debate broke out. The Salkari species wanted help defending their colony, pirates. We're raiding their outer worlds. The Drenex Empire, strong and proud, refused to assist. Why should we help the weak? General Kern said, his voice booming in the hall. If they cannot protect their homes, they don't deserve to keep them. Some envoys argued back. Others stayed silent. Tom said nothing. After the session, a member of the Salkari delegation approached Tom. Why do you never speak? She asked him. Tom looked at her. Because words are easy. Truth takes time. She didn't understand his answer. Few did. Back on Earth, things were different. The silence that aliens saw as weakness was not fear. It was planning. Earth's leaders knew the galaxy was not safe. They had watched the rise and fall of empires. They had studied every war in council records. They knew peace was temporary and strength was often hidden behind noise. So humanity built quietly. They expanded deep into space, claiming empty systems no one wanted. They trained soldiers, not for parade, but for real combat. They designed ships with new technology, but never showed them in public. They didn't build to impress, they built to win. Tom knew all of this. He had trained with the first silent fleet. He had stood in deep space hangars where new warships were hidden from satellites and spies. He had sworn to protect Earth, not by shouting, but by waiting for the right moment. That moment was coming soon. The Drenex Empire was watching Earth closely. General Kern didn't trust silence. In his mind, silence was weakness. Weakness was dangerous. They hide something, he told his advisors. But his council laughed. Humans are harmless. They have done nothing since joining. General Kern didn't agree. He ordered his scouts to fly near human colonies. He tested their borders. He sent small threats and coded messages. Earth never replied. The council said nothing. And then one day, Drenex acted. They launched a surprise attack onto human colonies in the Outer Rim. These colonies had families, farms, and small defense stations. The Drenex expected them to surrender fast, but they didn't. They fought with everything they had. Still, the Drenex were stronger. They destroyed the first colony in hours. The second fell after today's. Thousands were lost. The galaxy waited for Earth's response. But Earth said nothing. No threats. No messages. No declaration of war. Just silence. The council watched with curiosity. Some wondered if Earth would finally speak up. Others believed humans would beg for peace. General Kern was pleased. We have shown them who is in charge, he said. But far from the council, on a hidden human ship deep in space, Tom received a message. It was short, just one word. Begin closed the datapad and stood. He walked to the center of the ship, where officers waited in silence. Signal the fleets, he said. Phase 1 is live. Across the stars, hidden human warships powered up. Some had been waiting in asteroid fields for years. Others were hidden inside moons. No alien radar had ever found them. They didn't move yet. They just waited for Tom's next word. Back on the council world, the Salkari ambassador looked for Tom. He didn't attend the next meeting. His seat was empty. Rumors began to spread. Was Earth afraid? Had they given up? No one knew. But something had changed in the air. A quiet storm was coming, and those who had laughed at humanity's silence were about to see the truth. The two human colonies that had been attacked were quiet now. Smoke rose from shattered buildings. Fires burned across broken streets. Families that had once built homes in peace now lay silent under rubble. The Drenax Empire had made its move. General Kern stood on the bridge of his warship and smiled as he looked at the battlefield through the screen. They did not even fight properly, he said to his officers. Humans are soft, just like I thought. His second in command, a tall alien named Var, nodded slowly. Yes, General. They lost both colonies in less than 3 days. Kern crossed his arms, and still. No word from Earth. No reply. Not even a protest at the council. They will stay quiet. Weak races always do. But far away, Earth was not. Quiet. In a hidden command center deep below the surface. Earth's leaders stood around a glowing table. Red lights marked the destroyed colonies. Blue lights showed the secret positions of human fleets. Tom appeared on a screen in front of them. He was now on a ship named the Resolute, one of Earth's most advanced stealth cruisers. The colonies are lost, Tom said calmly, but not forgotten. A general at the table spoke. Are we ready? Tom gave a small nod. Yes, the fleets are in place. All we need is the final command. The leader of Earth's Defense Council, an older woman named Mara, stepped forward. She looked tired but strong. Then we begin, she said. No speeches, no warnings. Strike fast, strike hard. At once, signals were sent through secret channels across the galaxy. In Sector 7, near a gas giant, a Drenax supply station floated quietly. It was guarded by 2 ships. They were relaxed, unaware of any danger. Then, without warning, both ships exploded. A moment later, 8 dozen human warships uncloaked around the station. They fired with precision, disabling the enemy's systems in seconds. Human soldiers boarded the station and took control. No one escaped. In Sector 3, a Drenax listening post was jammed, then destroyed in less than 5 minutes. In Sector 5, human ships cut off supply lines. In Sector 9, a secret Drenax fuel base vanished in a silent blast. Across the stars, Drenax stations and patrols disappeared. They had no idea what was happening. No messages reached General Kern. His long-range scanners stopped working. His scouts went silent. His commanders shouted at each other, blaming equipment failure. Kern slammed his fist on the table. Find them, he shouted. Find the humans. But they couldn't. The humans had learned from the galaxy. They had studied alien systems, and now they moved like shadows. On the Resolute, Tom watched as reports came in. 12 enemy bases destroyed. 5 fleets disabled. Not a single human ship lost. Still, Earth made no public announcement. They didn't tell the Council what had happened. They didn't threaten Drenax. They didn't ask for help. They just kept moving. Inside the Galactic Council chambers, the mood was strange. Some envoys were confused. Others whispered rumors. The Salkari ambassador looked around and noticed that the seat for Earth remained empty again. She turned to her neighbor. Have you heard anything? The answer came quietly. Only that something is happening. Something big. The Drenax envoy stood up and addressed the council. There has been sabotage, he said angrily. Our stations are being attacked. This is the work of cowards. One of the older council members from the Telari species raised his hand. Do you believe Earth is responsible? The Drenax envoy narrowed his eyes. Who else moves without warning? Who else hides behind silence? The council fell quiet. No one spoke against Earth, but no one defended them either. The silence in the chamber was heavy. Meanwhile, in a dark corner of space, a Drenex fleet sat in orbit around a moon. They were supplying, thinking the war was done. Then, one by one, their ships lost power, engines shut down, lights flickered, and then the human ships appeared. They didn't fire first. Instead, they sent a simple message. This is your only warning. Leave now. The Drenex commander laughed. Humans dared to threaten us. He ordered his ships to open fire. But they never got the chance. Human rail cannons fired faster than their shields could react. In under a minute, the Drenex fleet was gone. Tom stood on the bridge, watching the last enemy ship vanish into flame. We gave them a choice, he said. They chose wrong. Back on the council world, a small message arrived in the middle of the night. It came from Tom. It was not sent to all council members. Only a few received it. It said, "You misunderstood our silence. The cost will be paid now." One of the council leaders, a wise elder from the Lyran race, read the message again and again. He turned to his assistant. "Do you know what this means?" The assistant shook his head. "It means," the elder said slowly, "the humans were never silent because they were weak. They were silent because they were watching. And now they are done watching." General Kern finally received part of a report. One of his bases had recorded a human ship before being destroyed. The ship was sleek, black, and quiet, unlike any design he had seen. He stared at the image for a long time. Where did they build this? No one had the answer. The Drenex Empire was known for pride and power, but now they were hunted by the very species they had mocked. And in the heart of Earth's command center, Mara stood with her generals. "Let the galaxy see," she said. "Let them learn." Silence was never weakness. Tom sent out one final order. "All fleets, prepare Phase 2. The war had only begun. The stars looked calm, but war was moving. Fast, Drenex patrols were disappearing. Their outposts were falling. Yet no one could see where the attacks were coming from. It was as if the shadows themselves had come alive and struck their empire. General Kern stood inside the command center of his warship. His face was tight with anger. Reports had stopped coming. His best fleets were gone. His satellites were silent. He paced back and forth, clenching his fists. "Send more scouts," he ordered. "Already gone." "General," his officer replied. "We sent 5. None returned." Kern slammed his fist on the table. "What are we facing? What weapon can do this without showing itself?" No one had an answer. Across the galaxy, other empires were watching too. The Galactic Council sat in silence. Rumors had grown louder. A few brave ambassadors whispered what many feared. "It is the humans. They warn no one. They strike without being seen." In the center of it all, Tom stood aboard the Resolute. The ship moved quietly through space, leading the first wave of Phase 2. The human fleet followed behind, silent but ready. It had been 20 years since Earth joined the Council. 20 years of quiet learning. 20 years of listening to every voice in the room, every pattern in war. Now, silence had become a weapon. Inside the war room of the Resolute, a 3D star map showed the targets for the day. 3 Drenex supply lines, 1 hidden shipyard, and an old fortress built into an asteroid. Tom looked at his officers. They were calm, well-trained, and prepared. "No mistakes," he said. "We are not here to destroy cities. We are here to remove the tools of their war." One officer asked, "What if the Council calls us to stop?" Tom answered firmly, "They did nothing when our colonies were attacked. Now they will watch." The fleet split into 3 groups and jumped to light speed. The Drenex shipyard in Sector 14 was hidden behind a field of broken asteroids. A smart hiding place. Strong defense cannons surrounded it. Hundreds of workers and guards lived there. But when the human fleet arrived, everything changed. Before the Drenex defenders could react, their sensors shut down. All communication signals were blocked. Engines refused to start. It was as if space itself turned against them. Then the human ships appeared. Sleek, silent. Black metal that reflected no light. They didn't fire right away. They sent a message first. "Surrender or be removed." The Drenex commander laughed. When he heard it, humans bluff. They always do. But this time, they didn't. Human missiles flew like whispers through space, hitting every cannon with perfect aim. Explosions filled the sky. In less than 4 minutes, the shipyard was gone. The workers who surrendered were taken safely to a nearby moon. The rest vanished with their station. Back on the Resolute, Tom received confirmation of success. Another officer turned to him. They know now. Tom gave a small nod. Yes, now the galaxy watches. At the next council meeting, things were not the same. Normally, the hall was full of arguments, loud voices, and proud speeches. But today, the room was quiet. All eyes turned when Tom walked in. It was the first time he had come in person since the attack on the colonies. He didn't bring guards. He didn't wear armor. Just the simple black uniform of Earth's envoy. The Drenak's seat was empty. Tom walked to the center of the room. Some members stood. Others stayed seated. He spoke clearly. When Earth joined the council, we believed in peace. He paused. We gave knowledge. We followed rules. We listened. We trusted. No one interrupted him. And when 2 of our colonies were burned, we waited for justice. None came. He looked around the room slowly. So we gave justice ourselves. Member of the Tolari people raised a hand. Ambassador Tom. Your fleets have destroyed half the Drenak's outer empire. Do you plan to conquer them? Tom shook his head. No, we are not conquerors. But we will not allow power to crush peace again. Another voice asked, Then what do you want? Tom looked straight at the council leaders. We want you to remember, silence is not weakness, restraint is not fear, and patience is not surrender. He turned and left the hall. No one followed him. On the council world, reactions were mixed. The Salkari praised Earth's courage. They had seen how quickly the humans had moved. They sent an offer of alliance within hours. Other empires began sending envoys to Earth. They asked for trade, protection, and cooperation. But some feared what they had seen. If humans could hide this power for 20 years, what else are they hiding? Asked the envoy from the Kral system. In private chambers, council leaders argued. Do we punish them? Do we thank them? Or do we stay out of their way? One elder spoke wisely. We watched them and saw silence. But we forgot that silence often hides strength. Meanwhile, General Kern sat alone in a dark room on his ship. All of his generals were gone. His fleets had vanished. His empire was falling apart. He played the last message he had received from Earth. It was short. This is what happens when you mistake calm for fear. His pride burned. But he had no ships left to fight, no worlds left to call for help, only fear. Tom stood once again. On the bridge of the Resolute, the stars stretched wide in front of him. He had not smiled in days. The cost of war was heavy, even for those who prepared. A young officer approached him. Sir, Phase 3 is ready. Tom nodded. Send the message to Earth. Begin the next step. What about the council? They've already chosen. They'll either learn from this or repeat the same mistake. The Resolute turned toward the next sector. The war wasn't over. But now, the galaxy understood something they had ignored for too long. Humanity had been watching, and now they were awake. The stars had become quiet again. But it was a new kind of silence. Not peaceful. Not calm. It was the silence of fear. The Drenak's empire, once one of the loudest voices in the galaxy, had fallen silent. Their fleets were broken, their bases gone. Their empire was shrinking faster than anyone believed possible. But Earth had not stopped moving. Human ships now operated across a wide part of the galaxy. They used stealth technology that no one else understood. They appeared without warning, struck with perfect aim, and vanished before enemy sensors could react. Inside Earth's main command center, high above the planet in a station named Beacon 1, leaders from across the colonies gathered. Tom appeared through a large screen, his image calm but focused. We are not here to destroy the galaxy, he said, only to make it safe. Some leaders nodded. Others still looked uncertain. One of the younger commanders stood up. But the Drenaks are retreating. Do we still need to keep striking? Some say we are becoming too aggressive. Tom looked at him. Do you think they would have stopped if we had surrendered? The room stayed quiet. Mara, the head of Earth's defense council, stepped forward. Her voice was firm. They showed no mercy, and we will not allow them to rise again and threaten others. Across the table, a scientist named Lin spoke. We have new data. Drenax is building something deep in Sector 11. It could be a final weapon or a new kind of fleet. It's buried inside a gas giant's orbit. Tom's eyes narrowed. Send the recon ships. I want to know exactly what they're hiding. In Sector 11, far from common travel routes, a small group of human stealth ships moved into the dense gas clouds. Their hulls shifted colors, blending with the environment. No signals were sent. No noise was made. Inside one of the ships, a pilot named Aaron focused on his screen. He was young, trained during the quiet years before war started. There it is, he whispered. Floating just above the gas giant was a massive structure. Dark metal, glowing red lines, heavy weapons. It wasn't finished yet, but it was big enough to be dangerous. Aaron recorded everything. He scanned the power sources, engine size, and defense systems. Then he turned to leave. But something moved. A Drenax patrol ship appeared behind him. He had been seen. Aaron didn't panic. He pressed a small switch on his console. A signal was sent. Then he activated emergency cloaking and sped into the clouds. The Drenax ship chased him. Firing blasts of energy through the swirling gas, Aaron flew low, hiding between thick bands of pressure. His ship shook under the force, but he held on. After several minutes, he reached open space. Beacon 1, this is Scout 9, he said. Target confirmed. It's real, and it's nearly operational. Hours later, Tom stood with a team of Earthstop officers. We have no choice, he said. That station must be destroyed before it comes online. One officer asked, will this be the final strike? Tom didn't answer. He looked at the stars outside the window. We'll know when it's done. The mission was named Silent Storm. It involved 3 main fleets. Fleet 1 would attack the power grid around the gas giant. Fleet 2 would intercept any reinforcements. Fleet 3, led by Tom himself, would enter the core and destroy the station. The operation started at midnight, Earth time. Human ships jumped into Sector 11 with full silence. Fleet 1 disabled the power grids using EMP missiles. Fleet 2 wiped out a Drenax rescue fleet before they could even send a warning. Tom's fleet reached the station. It was huge, built like a fortress. But it wasn't finished. There were gaps in the armor, weak spots in the energy field. Tom's voice echoed through the ship. All ships, target Sector Delta and Epsilon. Focus fire. No delay. Lasers, missiles, and railguns fired together. The station fired back. Red beams cut through space, nearly hitting Tom's wingship. One human ship was lost. Another took heavy damage, but the station shield flickered, then failed. Tom's cruiser flew straight toward the heart of the structure. Prepare boarding teams, he ordered. Dozens of small crafts launched from the Resolute, entering the station through broken panels. Inside, the Drenax defenders fought hard, but the human soldiers had better armor, better training, and better coordination. Room by room, the station fell. Tom led the final group to the control chamber. There, a Drenax officer tried to activate the core. Tom shot the console before it could be used. He walked forward, calm and steady. This is over, he said. The Drenax officer stared at him. We should have destroyed you when we had the chance. Tom replied, that was your mistake. You thought silence meant fear. He placed a charge on the core. Now the galaxy knows better. The human teams left the station and returned to the fleet. From a safe distance, they watched the station explode. The light from the blast lit up the gas clouds like a second sun. Back on Beacon 1, Earth's leaders watched the screen in silence. Then Mars spoke. It's done. The threat is gone. But Lin, the scientist, looked uneasy. We destroyed their station, but we've awakened something else. Tom's face appeared. Yes, the galaxy has changed, and it's watching us now. In the council chambers, a debate had started. Some members wanted Earth punished for acting without permission. Others praised their strength and called them protectors. No one could agree. But all of them knew one thing. Earth was no longer silent, and the hidden war had changed everything. News of the destroyed station spread across the galaxy. Every empire, every council member, and every leader saw the images. The gas giant still glowed where the explosion had happened. The human fleet had once again struck with silence and power. No one could ignore Earth anymore. In the Galactic Council chambers, voices rose, not in anger or mockery, but in confusion and fear. They acted alone, one ambassador said. They didn't ask for permission, another added, but they removed. A serious threat, replied a third. The hall fell quiet when Earth's envoy, Tom, entered. He didn't speak at first. He walked to the center of the chamber and placed a small device on the table. A clear image appeared in the air above it. It showed Earth's to lost colonies. Families running, buildings burning, Drenax ships attacking, children crying. Then the image changed. It showed the recent battles. Human fleets protecting weaker worlds. Human soldiers rescuing prisoners from Drenax stations. Tom's voice was calm and steady. This is what we saw. This is what we lived through. He paused and looked around the hall. We asked for help. We received none. He pointed to the image. We lost everything here. And you called us weak because we stayed silent. Some members looked away. Others watched closely. We were not silent because we were afraid. We were silent because we believed this council would act with justice. He lowered his hand. When it didn't, we did. No one spoke. The message was clear. The quiet species had found its voice, and the galaxy was listening. On a distant planet called Valen 3, a small council of leaders from minor species met in secret. These races had always been ignored. Their votes didn't matter much. Their voices were often silenced in council meetings. But now, they saw an opportunity. If Earth can stand against an empire, one leader said, why can't we? Another added. They didn't wait for permission. They protected their people. We should do the same. It was the start of something new, something the larger empires didn't see coming. Back in Sector 12, Earth's fleet remained on alert. The Resolute, Tom's command ship, floated near a quiet moon. Engineers repaired the damage from the last battle. Soldiers rested, trained, and prepared for whatever came next inside the war room. Tom met with his officers. Mara joined the call through a secure channel from Earth. We are getting new requests every day, she said. Smaller worlds want protection. They want alliances. Tom looked at the list. Over 20 requests had arrived in 1 week. Worlds that once feared humans were now calling them heroes. We help them, he said. But we don't conquer. We don't rule. We protect, a young officer asked. What if the larger empires resist? Tom paused. Then we remind them what happens when they ignore silence. While Earth built alliances, the Drenax Empire was falling apart. General Kern had lost support. His people blamed him for waking the sleeping giant. His advisors left. His officers refused orders. He sat in his command center, surrounded by silence. One remaining officer stepped forward. General, our spies report that even our old allies are turning away from us. Some are now speaking with Earth currents. Voice was low. They fear us no more. He stood slowly and walked to a window that showed the stars. I thought humans were soft. I thought they lacked the will to fight. He clenched his fists. But they waited. They prepared. And now they move like fire. His eyes darkened. Then let us burn with them. Back on Beacon 1, Earth's defense leaders gathered around the central table. Mara spoke first. We received word. Drenax has launched its final fleet. Over 100 ships, moving fast toward the core line. Tom looked at the map. The core line was near many neutral planets. If the Drenax fleet reached it, they could destroy hundreds of cities before help arrived. What's their goal? Asked one of the generals. To make us look like invaders, Mara answered. If they destroy neutral worlds and make it seem like we failed to stop them, the council might turn against us. Tom gave a firm nod. Then we won't let them reach the core. He turned to his officers. Prepare all fleets, every stealth cruiser, every fighter wing. We stop them now. The battle was called the Stand of Silence. It took place in the dark space between stars. No planets, no stations, just the cold, open void. Tom's fleet arrived first. He positioned his ships in a wide formation. He knew the Drenax would not stop. They wanted one last victory, one last act of power. But humanity would not step aside. The enemy fleet appeared on sensors, bigger, louder, moving fast. Tom stood on the bridge of the Resolute. His voice was calm. We hold the line. No fear, no retreat. The first blast lit up the dark. Human ships moved with skill, weaving through enemy fire. Their weapons struck with precision. Engines, shields, weapons targeted and destroyed. But the Drenax were desperate. They fought with fury. One human ship fell, then another. But the line held. For hours, the battle raged. Explosions echoed through space. Fire lit the black sky. Finally, the Drenax flagship came into view. Tom's eyes narrowed. Focus fire. End it now. Every cannon turned. The enemy flagship shook, broke apart, and vanished in flame. Silence returned. The fleet was gone. And Earth still stood. Later, messages poured into Earth's channels. From the Council. From neutral worlds. From small colonies. Not in fear. In respect. The voice of humanity had been heard. And the galaxy now knew the truth. Silence had never been weakness. It had been warning. The stars were silent after the great battle. The Drenax Empire, once proud and mighty, was broken. Their fleets had been shattered. Their leaders scattered. The galaxy watched as the balance of power shifted. General Kern sat alone in the remains of his command ship. The walls around him were damaged. His officers had abandoned him one by one. His empire was no longer feared but pitied. He stared at a map of the galaxy. The red line showed where humans had struck. Every attack was precise, leaving no chance for escape. It was clear now humans had never been weak. Kern's pride burned like a fire inside him. I underestimated them, he said quietly. I thought silence meant fear, but it meant patience. It meant power. A knock came at the door. One of his few remaining officers entered. General, the Council has sent envoys. They want to speak about peace. Kern looked up. Peace? After all this? The officer nodded. Yes. They want to avoid more destruction. Kern thought for a moment. His empire was crumbling. Fighting now would only bring more loss. Prepare the meeting, he said. Let us see what the humans want. On the Earth Command Station Beacon 1. Tom prepared for the peace talks. The war had taken much. Many lives were lost. But it had also shown the galaxy a new truth. Mara stood beside him. Are you ready? Tom nodded. Yes. But I will not forget the cost. The peace talks were held on a neutral space station. Representatives from Earth, the Drenax, and the Galactic Council gathered. The room was filled with tension. Tom spoke first. We fought not for power, but for survival. For justice. The Drenax leader, a tired man named Kern, responded. We were proud. We thought humans were weak. We were wrong. Tom looked at him. The galaxy must learn from this. We cannot repeat the mistakes of the past. A council elder agreed. This is a chance for peace, for a new balance. The talks lasted days. Arguments came and went, but in the end, a treaty was signed. The Drenax would limit their fleets. They would help rebuild the colonies they destroyed. Earth would share technology and protection with the Council. New era had begun, but peace did not mean the end of preparation. Tom returned to Earth's fleet with new orders. We must stay ready, he said. The galaxy is large. There are other threats, and some may not want peace. Mara added, we will protect our home and teach others the lesson of silence. The fleet trained harder. New ships were built. Alliances grew stronger. Humanity was no longer the quiet species. They were the guardians. In the months that followed, Earth's influence grew, smaller. Worlds looked to them for guidance. Trade flourished. Scientists exchanged ideas. Soldiers trained together. Tom visited many planets, sharing stories and knowledge. He was no longer just an envoy. He was a symbol of hope. One day, on a distant world, a young child asked him, why did humans stay silent for so long? Tom smiled. Because sometimes, strength is best shown by waiting, by watching, and then by standing up when it matters. Most, the child nodded. And now, we speak loud enough for the whole galaxy to hear. The galaxy had changed. Humans were no longer the quiet newcomers. They had shown their strength, their patience, and their honor, the silence. That once seemed like weakness had become a lesson for every species. The Galactic Council had been reformed. The seat for Earth was now at the center, not because of force, but because of respect. Tom stood in the council chambers once more. The room was full, but this time, all eyes were on him with admiration. He spoke clearly. Peace is not easy. Strength is not always loud. Sometimes, it is the quiet voice that guides us. Many nodded. A young council member from the Yelloran species asked, "What will happen if another threat rises?" Tom smiled. "Then we will be ready, because we have learned that silence is not surrender. It is preparation. And when humanity acts, the stars listen." Back on Earth, life was changing. Cities grew brighter. New colonies thrived. Technology advanced faster than ever. But the people remembered the past. Tom walked through a busy street filled with children playing. He stopped by a small memorial. It was a simple statue with a plaque. Those who waited, those who prepared, those who never gave up. He touched the plaque gently. Because of them, we stand strong today. At a spaceport, new pilots trained with excitement. They dreamed of exploring the stars, protecting worlds, and keeping peace. Tom visited the academy. He spoke to the young cadets. Remember, strength comes in many forms. Sometimes in battle, sometimes in silence, but always in the heart. The cadets listened closely. They knew the story of humanity's rise, how they were judged weak, but became the galaxy's protectors. One evening, as the twin suns set on Earth, Tom looked up at the sky. The stars were bright and many. Each one held stories, some of war, some of peace, some yet to be written. He thought about the journey, from silence to strength, from fear to respect. A voice came through his calm. "Sir, the Council sends greetings. They want to invite you to lead a new peace mission." Tom smiled softly. "Tell them I accept. Humanity will continue to speak, to protect, and to guide." The galaxy had learned the truth. Never mistake silence for weakness, because when humanity stands, the universe listens. End of story.